karavavahai tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Satgurum Brahma Vidvaram Satgurum Brahma Vidvaram. We will chant 39th verse together. Shraddhavan labhate jnanam tatparas sanyatendriyah jnanam labdhva param shantim achirenadhigacchati. The beauty of fourth chapter is, Bhagavan Krishna says, our main accomplishment in life is to be free from bondage while doing karma. Not only while withdrawn from karma, but being free from bondage while being engaged in karma. Bhagavan says that is the accomplishment one can strive for in human birth. That one shloka, I think all of us can memorize it. Karmani akarmayah pashyet. Which one was it? 18. 4:18. Karmani akarmayah pashyet akarmani cha karmayah. Saha buddhiman. That person is buddhiman. Then again later he said, samas siddhava siddhau cha krutva api na nibadhyate. The one who is having this knowledge, krutva api, even though he is acting, he is not bound. Bhagavan said, if this is the result we want, that thing which will take us towards that result is knowledge of the Supremost Self. Brahmajnanam, that is what will take us towards such kind of a result. In spite of being in the midst of so many things, that sadhaka who has knowledge will not be affected by any of those things. This is the greatness of knowledge, Arjuna. That is why it is supreme most compared to all other forms of yajna. Shreyan dravyamayad yajnat jnana yajna parantapa. It does not produce any new result, and it helps us abide in our own swarupa. That is why it is the greatest knowledge. Then Bhagavan elaborated, what are the means by which I can get this knowledge? External sadhanas were tadvidhi, seva, tadvidhi pranipata, seva, and then pariprashna. Going and surrendering, serving, asking questions. Then internal preparation, Bhagavan said, first thing is Shraddha. Firm faith that there is something called as Brahman, and if I sincerely walk on this path, I will accomplish that goal. At the same time, he knows Brahman is not another object. Just like we have found so many objects, I will go and find Brahman also. Brahman is that which never becomes object of sense organs. The subtlety of what is Brahman, that also he appreciates. That is why he needs more Shraddha. If it was an object, he could have just gone and gotten it with karma using sense organs. So that is where we had seen different facets about Shraddha also. First was the definition of Shraddha. Shraddhate yayavritya. That ability of the intellect which beholds a thing to be true. That was the first one. Then we discussed how does Shraddha come? By doing punya karma, by living a dharmic life, and by being in satsang with those who have this faith. Company has a very strong influence. We can appreciate it with children, but it's also true with anybody. In particular, if we are spiritual seekers, then it is said, be very, very careful about your company. What we have gained after several janmas, several births, whatever little faith we might have, whatever little desire we might have for this spiritual quest, doesn't take much time for everything to get shaken if our company is not right. So having the right company is one way of protecting our faith. Okay, that was the second point. Third was, what does faith do to us? What does the Shraddha do? What it does right in the beginning is, it will make us do some kind of satkarma. It will take us to the teacher. It will allow us to listen to Vedanta, such that whatever we listen forms an impression. Minus faith, it's very difficult to form an impression of what we are hearing. You have to find one quickly, huh? Either come before the class, or if you come, find a chair very quickly. So what does Shraddha do? It takes us to a teacher, and whatever we listen, that listening has prabhava. Prabhava means it has an impact. Minus faith, we might listen for a long time, but there is no impact. Faith will also ensure that we absorb and recollect this knowledge. Prabhava and Grahanam it is called. One is the impact, another is ability to absorb. All of that will come to this Shraddha. We are discussing this in a spiritual context. For Brahma Vidya, how would Shraddha work? But same thing will apply even for secular knowledge. Somebody sitting in a university listening to a professor, minus faith. Whatever he says will not make an impact. Mind will always doubt. But if there is faith, I can absorb it and the impact can be very deep. That was one point. And another thing we had seen was, Shraddha will make sure that we can accept things which we don't see right now. That is the beauty of faith, that I'm not seeing something through my sense organs directly, but still I can start walking on this path. Bhagwan praises this quality so much. Later on in 17th chapter he says, personality of a person is defined by his faith. Shraddha mayoyam purushah yoyat shraddha sa eva saha. If you reflect on that word, something very beautiful will open up. Shraddha mayoyam purushah. This is 17th chapter. Shraddhamaya means full of. If you meet a person, he says, what is the identity or personality of a person? So whatever he believes in, that is his personality. It is very much possible, today he might be somewhere else. Today he might be some kind of a sinner, some kind of person that probably we don't appreciate as much. But he says if he has his faith in the right place, it's only a matter of time he will be led to that place. Meaning that verse is telling us, person really is not defined by what he is today. A person is defined by what he believes his fate to be. Only matter of time he will be led to that place. Shraddha mayoyam purushah yoyat shraddha sa eva saha. Whatever he has faith in, that alone becomes his personality. If somebody has faith in goodness, he says his personality is of goodness. Somebody has faith in values, His personality is of values. In Chandogya Upanishad, another example is given. The student is having a question. He says, you say everything is Brahman, but this world that I am seeing is so gross. It is Thula. And Brahman is the subtlest of the subtlest. How can this gross world come from the subtle cause? How can gross world come from subtle cause? Yes, that is my question. The teacher of Chandogya Upanishad is an experimental teacher. Doesn't give any direct answer. He shows it, demonstrates it with an experiment. Nowadays they say, right, hands-on learning. Don't preach, demonstrate through an example. This is Chandogya Upanishad 6th chapter. Rishi is like that. He says, bring a fig fruit. Nyagrodha phalam anaya. Nyagrodha means fig. He says, break that fruit. Inside, what do you see? He says, I see small seeds. Take one of it, break it further. What do you see? He says, I see nothing inside. From that nothing, this whole tree has come. From that seed alone, the whole tree has come. If you have to believe how it has come, or if you want to know how it has come, start with faith. Shraddhatva somya. Start with this faith that such a tree can come from this tiny little seed, and eventually we don't want you to remain at faith. All of you are ready for one more point on faith. The name of 100% faith is knowledge. Faith, when it becomes 100%, that 100% faith is called as knowledge. For a child, if you say fire is hot, that child doesn't believe in the beginning. Sometimes he'll go and touch, something else he will do. But if you have really understood what is the nature of fire, do we have any doubt in our Shraddha that fire is hot? He says, no, it is jnanam only. So we start with faith, but that faith culminates in knowledge. That is this Shraddha. Bhagavan says such a great quality, which we need it even more on the spiritual path. Other two qualities, he says, tatparaha and sanyatendriyaha. Making sure that we are setting Brahman as the goal. That alone is our supremost goal. All other goals are aligned towards this goal. At the same time, living a disciplined life. Sanyatendriyaha. Maintaining purity of intent in every single interaction. That is Sanyatendriya. This point you have seen before also. Indriya Sanyama, generally we take it to be one particular sense organ. And then we say we have to control it. Bhagavad Geeta is a holistic text. It will not talk only about how to control taste. And even in that we have our own ideas. Right? How do we control taste? 3 gulab jamuns I had. 4th one I said no. No means no. He said taste is one small part. When it is said sanyatendriyaha, it means all vyavahara sanyama should happen. How much I should act, how much I should engage, when I should disengage. What I should do, what I should not do. Where I should see fear, where I should be fearless. All of that is Sanyatendriya only. We hear the term God-fearing person, right? Have you heard the term God-fearing person? What is that God-fearing person fearing? Looks very contradictory. If that person is a devotee, say, why should there be fear along with devotion? God-fearing person is really speaking not fearing God. God-fearing person is fearing dushkarma. He knows good karmas bring their own results, no matter what you do. In the same way, dushkarma also brings its result. So the one who is very, very alert for dushkarma, that person is God-fearing person. These are karma siddhanta fundamentals. That unless a sadhaka becomes very, very alert even for dushkarma, his karma siddhanta is not very strong yet. Both sides it works. For satkarma also he is striving to do. Dushkarma he is striving to keep away. 3 qualities Bhagavan said are needed for knowledge to come. Shraddha, Tatparata and Sanyatendriya. All of you are with me, right? This shloka. This is inner preparation. Previous shloka, verse number 34 was outer preparation. Okay. Now, having gained these qualifications, when he goes to a teacher and gains knowledge, what is the result of this knowledge? That Bhagavan is elaborating, 35th verse. Yajñātvā na punaramoham evam yasyasi pandava yena bhutanyasheshena drakṣasyātmaṇyatho mayi yajñātvā na punaramoham evam yasyasi pandava yena bhutanyasheshena drakṣasyātmaṇyatho mayi. Bhagavan is telling Arjuna, hey Pandava, this result is something very special. Yajñātva, having known the nature of truth as your own self, having negated creation in that consciousness, having negated ahankara in that consciousness, na punar moham evam yasyasi. You will not get deluded again. Means this result is nitya phalam, eternal result. Once you get this, he says there is no going back again. Why does Bhagavan say this? There's so many other things we have learnt, but there is a fear that I might forget it. This knowledge also, what if I forget I am Brahman? Bhagavan says it doesn't depend upon our remembering or forgetfulness. The moment knowledge takes place, he says right at that moment this person is liberated. Moment knowledge takes place that I am not this ahankara, I am Supreme Brahman. Right at that moment, he is liberated. There is no coming and going after that. But what is expected from us is we strengthen this knowledge. Not leaving it at a point where, oh, I have heard Vedanta, I know I am Brahman, but somewhere or the other we keep identifying with ahankara. Bhagavan says that we should not do, but gain firm knowledge of our own infinitude. And because this Brahman is Nitya Vastu, it is always eternal, result of this knowledge is also eternal. Any other object you take in this creation, that object is eternal or impermanent. Any object is impermanent. So knowledge about that object will be permanent or impermanent. This is how opinions keep changing. A better word is opinions keep evolving. This is what we thought about this thing at some point. And later on something else came and we kept evolving that understanding. What is true over here, somewhere else you go might be different. But Brahman is one thing which is eternal. There is no change which is possible in Brahma. So whether you learn Vedanta in Prithvi Loka, you learn Vedanta in Brahma Loka, nature of Brahman is going to be the same. In Manisha Panchakam, when Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji elaborates Manisha Panchakam, Lord Shiva blesses him with this boon. This is said in Shankara Digvijaya. Vidyaranya Swamiji has written an autobiography of Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji. There he says, Bhagwan Shiva blessed Shankaracharya ji with this boon that whatever you compose as commentary, it will become famous even in Brahma Loka. Means Brahma ji also will refer to Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji's commentary. Bhava should be pushta. Huh? We should not have too many doubts with such boons. But the main thing is, if let us say there is an illusory snake appearing on the rope, you brought the light and you clearly know that this is not a snake, this is rope. Having known that particular thing with pramana, with knowledge, in the right way, what will happen to that knowledge? After some time, will I get deluded again? That maybe there is this snake which has come back. He says, no, if you have used the right means of knowledge, and you exactly know what is the nature of that rope, that knowledge is with you all the time. Like that, if you have known the nature of self, using Upanishad as pramana, Upanishad as valid means of knowledge, says that result is eternal result. Now we should think on our own. Huh? These are few points about why result is eternal. Otherwise, still this doubt can remain. Just like any other result, Brahma Vidya also is something which comes and goes. Something which is time bound. Another way this question comes up is, it is said at the last minute, if we remember the Lord, we go to Swarga or wherever the Loka is. But what if I am unable to remember the Lord at last minute? What happens to somebody who is unable to remember the Lord towards the end? According to Vedanta, liberation is right at that time when knowledge takes place. After that, hold on to the same knowledge. Not that we should again go back into the world or hold on to worldly things. Hold on to the same knowledge, but don't get overly concerned about what is going to happen towards the end. That is another way to look at it. Yena bhutani asheshena. Through this knowledge, you will see all the beings, not excluding anything. Asheshena means everything is included. Yena bhutani asheshena drakshasi. You will see. Where will you see it? Drakshasi atmani. You will see it in your own self. We say Jagat appears in consciousness. Everybody comfortable with this statement? Creation has emerged from consciousness and creation emerges in consciousness. Now Vedanta has told us that consciousness you are. So where will Jagat appear? Not in consciousness, in me. I am that consciousness. If I have understood Jagat is appearing in consciousness, through this knowledge, he says you will see this whole creation in yourself. Like what? Like a city reflected in a mirror. When we drive, side mirror, you see the whole thing which is behind reflected in that mirror. Vishvam darpana drishyamana nagari tulyam nijantaragatam pashyannatmani. Same verse it is. Vishwam darpana drishyamana nagari. This whole world will be seen like a celestial city which is reflected in a mirror. Like that, he will see this whole creation appearing in consciousness. But it is appearing outside. You see, that is why Maya is involved. Pashyannatmani Mayaya Bahirivod Bhutam Yatha Nidraya. In dream also we see so many objects. We see ourselves in dream and we interact with so many outside objects in dream. But where is inside and outside when we wake up? All the objects which were seen inside the dreamer's mind and all objects which were seen outside the dreamer, everything was the dreamer's mind only, waking mind of the dreamer. So it's like that this whole creation will appear in oneself. Drakshasi Atmani. But little bit more is remaining, right, of that verse. What is that verse? What is the remaining part? Atho Mayi. You will see this whole creation in me also. Means Bhagavan Krishna is saying, you will see this whole creation is in yourself, and you will see this whole creation in me. Will I see it in two places, two screens? One screen here, one screen here? He says, no, the essential nature of Bhagavan is that same Chaitanya. Essential nature of Bhagavan is same Chaitanya. This is Mahavakya, 4th chapter. Tatpada is Mai, Ishvare, and Atmani is Sakshi. You will see the creation in Sakshi, you will see the creation in Ishvara. Means what? Sakshi alone is Ishvara. Okay, I'll give another example with which the second line should open up more. Imagine you have an A4 sheet, blank paper. In that paper, you draw one big circle. Drawn? Big circle. In that you draw mountains, rivers, galaxy, stars. When you were children, whenever you say draw a scenery, this is how you would start. Crow should be there, mountain should be there, one river should be there, tree should be there. Draw everything in that bigger circle. Drawn? Now in that bigger circle, draw one small circle. Small circle. Bigger circle, if you say where does this mountain appear, where does that tree appear, you say it appears in that bigger circle. And in that smaller circle, you cannot draw mountain and trees, so small it is. You draw a human being. Okay, just stick figure you draw. Where does that stick figure appear? Smaller circle. What will the paper say? The bigger circle, whatever is there, it says it appears in me only. Smaller circle, whatever you have drawn, paper says it is appearing in me only. Essential nature of bigger circle, essential nature of smaller circle is that same paper. Because of conditioning, one appeared big, another appeared small. What big can do, small cannot do, as far as circle is concerned. But essential nature of bigger circle and smaller circle is that same paper. In that way, in the same way, you say this whole creation appears in Ishvara. Brahma Chaitanya, that which is infinite, that which is substratum of this whole creation. That much is easy to appreciate. Brahman is the substratum of creation. And when it comes to individual, I say consciousness or Sakshi is the illuminator of thoughts. Mahavakya comes and says that Sakshi alone is Brahma. That Sakshi is a substratum in which individual conditioning is appearing and total conditioning is also appearing in that same consciousness. They are not two different consciousnesses. It is the same thing indicated in two ways. See, Mahavakya when we hear, right, it should do two things. Mahavakya when we hear, it should accomplish two things. One is it should remove this notion that God is somewhere else. first thing it should do is, it should remove this notion that Bhagwan is different from me. Atho Mayi, it is said, means he is innermost witness. That is the first thing Mahavakya should do. Remove remoteness from Bhagavan. Second thing Mahavakya should do is remove finitude from me. Because the moment we say Sakshi, we think Sakshi is some glowing light inside which is illuminating one thought at a time. One thought comes, goes. My witness is illuminating that thought. One Mahatma Ji would say in this way, let us say, roughly we are around 100 of us. Let us say 100 of us are meditating right now. And everybody meditates on Sakshi. How many Sakshis are you meditating upon? 1 or 100? So then Sakshi is finite or infinite? Is it limited to this 100? You say wherever any jiva appears, wherever any creation appears, that is appearing in the same Sakshi. Because our attention is so much on this body, that infinite Sakshi becomes finite. And we try to see Sakshi within this body, looking at that conditioning. Means the moment your attention is on circle, then everything is true. Bigger circle is big, smaller circle is small. But to shift attention to that paper, it says both of it is an appearance in that same substratum. Okay, that is this verse. Yena bhutani asheshena drakshasi atmani athomayi. If we are sincere seekers of Vedanta, this Mahavakya is what we should reflect upon. It opens up many knots of the heart and pushes us further on our spiritual journey. Okay. Now 36th verse, Bhagavan is praising this knowledge. 36, 37, all verses are praise. Api chedasi papebhyah sarvebhyah papakrittamah sarvam jnanaplavenaiva vrujinam santarishyasi api chedasi papebhyah sarvebhyah papakrittamah sarvam jnanaplavenaiva vrujinam santarishyasi. Greatness of something is understood looking at the result it brings. Anything, if you want to appreciate how great it is, you say, what result is it bringing? If you want to appreciate greatness of some medicine, Ayurveda, some herb, you say, if I take it, what will happen? If you take it, whole day you will feel very strong, energetic, very fresh. If that is what we value, then we'll appreciate even that small medicine. Like that, Bhagavan says, somebody who is able to hold on to this knowledge, what is the result of this knowledge? Api chedasi papebhyah. Even if this person has done all sorts of wrong things, api chedasi papebhyah sarvebhyah papakrittamah. Whatever wrong things you can imagine, everything he has done. Nothing left out. Sarvebhyah. And not any ordinary, mistakes. Papakrittamah. Supreme most gadbad he can do. See, whenever you hear these things, Puranas come to our rescue. Because examples you will find there, people feel very nice. Oh, somebody in Purana was like this. Srimad Bhagavatam, the story comes of Dhundukari. And Puranas don't hesitate in elaborating. Bhagavad Geeta, Bhagavan is very, very measured in his words. Puranas, they'll go on, verse after verse, elaborating what all things Dhundukari had done. But in spite of doing everything, he hears Bhagavatam from his brother, Gokarnaji. Before Gokarnaji, he gets moksha. Means even if somebody is having a past which they are not very proud of, he says it doesn't matter. This knowledge is so great, it will purify even that person. Let us look at the complete verse first. Papebhyah sarvebhyah papakrutamah api chet. Even if somebody is the supreme-most sinner, what happens to him? Sarvam jnana plavenaiva. Even those people, everybody is welcome. Everybody can come and sit in this boat of knowledge. Plava means boat. Jnana plava means boat of knowledge. Sarvam jnana plavenaiva vrujinam santarishyasi. It will cleanse them of all the past papa karma they have done. The same knowledge will protect them from committing more papa karma in the future. We need protection from both. One is from the past and one is from the future. But this metaphor is beautiful. It says knowledge is the boat on which we can sit and cross over this ocean of erroneous actions. Vrujinam means sin. If you think about it, what is the connection of knowledge with sin? What has knowledge got to do with tendency to commit sin? In Sanskrit, there are 3 words which are very oft used. All of you must have heard it. Avidya, Kama, and Karma. Avidya means ignorance. Whenever we are ignorant about our own nature as happiness, that incompleteness gives rise to some desire. That avidya, not knowing ourselves to be complete, not knowing ourselves to be of the nature of happiness, that brings kama. And moment that kama has come, we cannot sit quietly. Simple kama for a food item comes. That person will drive 20 miles to go to that one ice cream shop. And very proudly also will tell, that we drove 20 miles, 30 miles for that ice cream shop. Cheese board pizza in Berkeley. Ice cream sandwich. You say one thing comes, that person cannot sit quietly, it will push us further in action. Now see, these are innocent desires. They don't do much harm, whether you fulfill or you don't fulfill. Vrujinam comes when that desire power is very, very strong. So much so that this person wants to fulfill it even at the cost of dharma. Isn't that true? External laws cannot stop us from doing adharma as much as jnanam can stop us from within if we can remove that desire. If desire is too strong, no matter which rule you put, they'll find some way or the other to fulfill that desire. But in that way, if we can work on the root cause, on the kamana part. Root cause of kamana is avidya, ignorance part. Just through that, all the tendency to commit sin will be taken away. What will happen to the past actions? That will come in the next verse. Bhagavan says even past actions are burnt. Means past karmas are all burnt away. This is the power of Brahma Vidya, which sets us free. One of the definition of Vidya is Sa Vidya Ya Vimuktaye. That is knowledge which liberates a person. You apply it to anything. Any knowledge we have gained, the main result of that knowledge is it will liberate us from something or the other. If I have to go to some place and I gain knowledge of direction, how to go there. That knowledge will liberate me from getting lost. If I get the knowledge of cooking, that knowledge will liberate me from staying hungry. In the same way, if we can get knowledge of our own self, that knowledge will liberate us from all kinds of sins. Means to gain that knowledge, mind also will have to be prepared in such a way that it's very, very watchful. In our homes, we have alarms, right? Small movement, it starts beeping. Like that, one alarm is inside this sadhaka. Any erroneous thought comes, he can catch it very quickly. That is what is expected from a Vedanta sadhaka. Sarvam jnana plavenaiva vrujinam santarishyasi. Bhagavan Shankaracharya has mentioned some beautiful points here. He says, if you are negating the whole creation, if somebody has this question, right? How all papa karmas will be burnt away? How I will be freed from all sins? He said, if you are negating whole creation, how come your papa karma will remain? Means if somebody says, I did some parking error in dream. Once you have woken up, he says everything you have done in dream will be wiped off. There is nothing which remains from dream which you have to go and fix. Papa karma we can understand. What about punya karma? Bhagavan says both of them will be nullified. In the sense that punya karma will push this person to take rebirth. For a sincere seeker, he wants to be free from papa, he wants to be free from punya also. But this statement only that person can make who has gained sufficient punya. He is not concerned about any immediate thing because he knows his punyas will already take care of it. Nachiketa's question in Kathopanishad is this. He says, tell me that which is beyond dharma and beyond adharma. He is not asking only beyond adharma. He says even beyond dharma because that dharma will push this person to take more births. So punya karma also becomes a bondage for a sincere sadhaka. Sarvam jnana plavenaiva vrujinam santarishyasi. So any good act done in dream, if you hold on to it, that holding on to is still being in dream only. Cutting traffic in dream was papa. If you allowed somebody to pass very nicely and you say, oh, I am gaining some good merits because of that action, he says that is also bondage. Both of it is left. He says abide in your own self as Shuddha Chaitanya. Okay. Now comes a beautiful verse. Bhagavan says, not only here onwards papas are burnt, whatever actions are done in the past, even that is taken away. You see the next verse, 37th verse. Yathai dhamsi samiddhognihi bhasmasat kurute arjuna jnanagnis sarva karmani bhasmasat kurute tatha yathai dhamsi samiddhognihi bhasmasat kurute arjuna jnanagnis sarva karmani bhasmasat kurute tatha. Arjuna might have asked, Bhagwan, I accept your statement. What did Bhagwan say? Knowledge is the boat on which you will sit, cross over that ocean of papa karmas. Papa karmas, all karmas you include. But really what we want to cross over is all the erroneous tendencies. He says, Bhagwan, if I cross on the other side, I might have gotten down. What ocean that I crossed, will it still remain? Because if you are sitting on unexploded volcano, you can't be stress-free. Anytime these karmas can show their results. What if there is more rebirth again? These connections, Madhusudana Saraswati is giving in his commentary. He says, what if this karmas again pop up? Bhagavan says, just like if we have a well-kindled fire, samiddha agnihi yatha edhamsi bhasmasat kurute. Just like that well-kindled fire will reduce that firewood into ashes. It will not leave anything of that firewood unburnt. Like that, well-kindled knowledge will burn all the karmas of the past. Yatha samiddha agni edhamsi. Edhamsi means firewood. I hope you are looking at the verse also. Samiddha agnihi. Yathai-dhamsi samiddhognihi. Samiddhagni means well-kindled fire burns all the firewood. Bhasmasat kurute, hey Arjuna. Jnanagnihi, the fire of knowledge. Samiddha jnanagnihi, which is very well-kindled. Small spark cannot burn. It has to be well-kindled fire. Jnanagnihi sarva karmani bhasmasat kurute. All actions, it will burn. Here student will get a question. Student should get a question. How many lives have we lived in the past? Countless. Countless lives. How many karmas have we done in the past? Countless karmas. And let us say in this life, knowledge took place. Knowledge took place in this life. How come this knowledge which is taking place now, that knowledge is capable of burning all karmas from past lives? Because that knowledge has not come in contact with any of those karmas. That is how we might look. If you have a heap of cotton, you keep stacking it, and you say, I burn here. If there is no contact with this burning with that cotton, how is it going to burn even that? So there it is said, knowledge doesn't burn karma directly. Knowledge negates karta and bhokta. Knowledge negates doer and enjoyer. Karta means doer, enjoyer means experiencer. The one who did karma is ahankara, doer and enjoyer. That doership and enjoyership is negated through knowledge. Means either we negate both or we keep both. You cannot say you are free also and say I am karta bhokta also. Means we cannot use Vedanta conveniently. There is one story of one king. He was going in his garden behind, and there was some bird. He threw a stone to bring some, for some fruit, and it went and hit this bird. That bird fell down and it was in pain. Now, that king studied Vedanta. He said the presiding deities of hands is Bhagwan Indra. So I threw this with my hand. So karma phala of action done through hand should go to whom? Bhagwan Indra. Now Chitragupta, he was wondering, this is what he is saying. I don't know whether it's true or not. So he goes to Bhagwan Indra and says, your karma phala has come for bringing a bird down. He says, which bird? I was sitting here in Swarga. Then he says, this is what the king said. Oh, this is what the king said. Give me some time. So Indra Bhagwan comes in the form of Brahmana. And he meets the king, welcomes him, praises the king. He says, "You are such a great king. Can you show me your palace?" He shows him, goes inside. Canopy is so beautiful, exquisite carving. He said, "Who did it?" He said, "I did it. I even chose the marble. I chose the artisans. This is what is my creation." Goes a little further. Beautiful garden is there. "Arey, beautiful garden. I wonder who made this garden." He says, "I made it. All the flowers are imported. Everything I brought." Then goes further. Temple is there. "Temple, who did it?" He says, "I did it." Then in that temple premise is that bird. He said, "Who brought this bird down?" "Oh, this bird, Indra Bhagwan." Presiding deity of hand is Indra. He brought it down. That Brahmana said, "You cannot conveniently apply this Siddhanta. Where you want, you are holding on to your Karta Bhokta. And where you don't want, there you are putting it on somebody else. Either you keep both and beautify it, or you remove it and say, I am that consciousness in which there is no Kartrutva and Bhoktrutva." So by negating this doership and enjoyership, all karmas of the past are burnt. See, really speaking, knowledge doesn't do anything. Not only Brahma Vidya. Any knowledge doesn't do anything. Knowledge will only reveal a thing as it is. If you see color, eyes will only reveal color to be whatever it is. Now that color mind will perceive. Based upon that you will act. But knowledge by itself did not prompt into anything. That is the nature of knowledge. That he says, this knowledge also, when we understand our own finitude to be mithya, our own limited understanding about ourselves to be false, all the karmas of the past are burnt, and here onwards, whatever karmas are coming, that this person doesn't do with desire. Okay, jnanagni sarvakarmani bhasmasat kurute tatha. Mirabai has written one song where she says, Bhavasagar to sukha gayo, phikara nahi mohi tara nanaki. She says, I sat on this jnana plava and with Guru's grace I crossed over. But when I looked back, the whole ocean was evaporated. Bhavasagar to sukha gayo. Now I don't have any more stress or anxiety of crossing over anything. Apply that with this verse. That whole Bhavasagara was our own karma phalas. All of that is taken away. Ishavasya Upanishad class, you were seeing one verse from Shiva Mahimna Stotram. Pushpadanta Acharya, he is praying to Lord Shiva. He says, Bhagwan, I have committed 2 mistakes. Please forgive me for both of them. First only I am telling. One mistake I committed in the past, one mistake I will commit in the future. He says, you are so confident about your future mistake? He says, yes. What was your past mistake? Past mistake was, I did not bow down to Lord Shiva. I did not bow down to Lord Shiva because of which I have this physical body. We had to take another birth. He said, this is my past mistake, please forgive me. Shiva Parada Kshamapana Stotram, this is the main bhavana there. That we had an opportunity, but still, the sadhaka says, we did not make the best use of it. Bhagavan says, okay, that one I can understand, one mistake. What is your future mistake? He says, Bhagavan, your grace is such, by your grace I know knowledge will come. And once knowledge comes, I have also heard there is no more rebirth. No more future birth. So to bow down, you need a physical body. He says, in the future I will not have any body to bow down. That is my second mistake. Please forgive me for both. That is the bhavana here. Jnanagni sarva karmani bhasmasat kurute tatha. But the catch is, if we have to appreciate this verse, we have to think about what does it mean to have punarjanma. Bhajagovindam, that was the main point Bhagavan was hammering. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani jathare shayanam. Iha samsare bahudustare, krupaya pare pahi murare. Only the one who has thought about it and appreciates the result of knowledge, that person will be inspired. And it takes a long time. However long it takes, we have to keep thinking in the same direction. In spite of studying Vedanta for several years, still a sadhaka can feel, what is wrong in rebirth? But that is what we have to keep thinking as Vedanta sadhaka. All the limitations. Keep thinking means keep thinking about limitations of rebirth. Okay. Do you want to do the whole thing again? Starting from schooling, everything we have done in the past, the same cycle continues. Now we'll pause here. I think one more session we should be able to complete. Next weekend, of course, we'll not have. The weekend after that. A couple of things I wanted to share. We'll do the Purnamada first and then you can pause. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om